Welcome to Sportpen. Today we're doing a deep dive into the incredible world of football. We'll be looking at its roots, how it grew, how it changed, basically what makes it the phenomenon it is today.
Exactly. We're going to trace the journey, from those early kind of contentious beginnings, right through the money explosion, the iconic teams, the tactics that, revolutionized things.
And even touch on the fans, right? Their role in all this.
Absolutely, the whole picture. We'll explore what defines greatness, looking at those key moments, the legendary players and teams like, say, the 1970 Brazil side.
Ah, yes, an iconic team.
And how they and others really rewrote the story of the sport.
Yeah.
It's all about understanding that evolution.
Okay, so let's kick off right at the start. The Football Association, the FA, when it was formed, the game was, fundamentally different.
Oh, completely. I mean, think back then. The FA governed it all, sure, but it was strictly amateur. Football was meant to be a pastime,
For enjoyment.
Right, but that wasn't the whole story, especially as it got more popular up north in the industrial areas. Precisely. And that's where things got interesting. You had this real clash. The FA's traditional amateur view, mostly from the South, bumping up against these clubs in the industrial North and Midlands.
Clubs like Preston.
Yeah, like Preston. They were pulling in massive crowds. Paying players just seemed logical, for competition, for practicality. They were becoming professional in all that name, really. Gave them a huge edge.
And the FA pushed back hard on that, didn't they? Trying to keep the amateur spirit alive.
They did. They actually banned those clubs, the suspected professional ones, from the FA Cup, their main competition.
Wow. Big move.
Huge. But honestly, the power had already started to shift. These northern clubs, they had the fans, they had the players, they had the momentum.
So they threatened to just leave, form their own league.
That was the threat.
Yeah.
A breakaway professional league.
Yeah.
And faced with losing control, basically the FA.
Yeah.
Oh, they buckled. They legalized professionalism in 1885, a massive turning point.
And that really marked the end of an era. It's quite something that Old Etonians winning the cup in 1882 was the last time a fully amateur team managed it.
A clear line in the sand, yeah. And while all this drama was unfolding in England, the game itself wasn't standing still globally.
No, it was spreading like wildfire, wasn't it? Often carried by Brits moving abroad along trade routes.
Exactly. Look at South America. It took root incredibly quickly. Buenos Aires FC was founded way back in 1867. That's barely after the FA itself.
And by 1891, they had a proper league association there, the first one outside Britain. That speed is just remarkable.
Speaks volumes about the game's appeal, even then. Simple, universal. And these leagues, they became vital. The Scottish Football League formed in 1890, just 2 years after England's. The structure was building.
Okay, so fast forward from those foundations, the structure builds, professionalism takes hold, and eventually it becomes this huge business.
Oh, colossal. And the broadcasting rights are the perfect illustration, especially in England.
Right, the numbers are just staggering when you look at them. Like 1987, the deal for football league rights with BBC ITV. What was it? About £3 million.
3.1 million, yeah. Seems tiny now, because just 5 years later, 1992, the Premier League launches and Sky comes in.
And blows everything out of the water.
Completely. 304 million over 5 years. It wasn't just more money. It fundamentally changed the financial reality of the game.
And it just kept going up and up. By the 2010s, those rights were worth, nearly $1.8 billion?
1.78 billion for 2010-2013. That kind of cash injection. It created this huge gap, concentrating wealth in the top clubs, the top leagues, echoes of that old amateur-pro divide, but now on a massive global financial scale.
It's fascinating how money keeps driving these shifts. It's interesting, too, to contrast that European model with something like Major League Soccer in the U.S.
Totally different structure. Franchise system, no promotion or relegation.
Which means clubs don't have that constant fear of dropping down, losing income. It's a much more stable financial environment for the owners, I suppose.
Right. And maybe that reflects a bit of the history of American sports, thinking about baseball's old reserve clause, trying to control player movement and salaries. Very different from the sort of free market frenzy European football became.
And baseball's international spread has been, much more limited compared to football's global reach.
Definitely. Different paths.
Okay, let's shift from the money and structure to the pitch itself. Let's talk about greatness. Iconic teams, revolutionary ideas.
Yes. And you have to start with Real Madrid in the late 50s, 1955 to 1960.
The Di Stefano era.
Exactly. Before that period, they'd only won the Spanish league twice in their history. Then, with Di Stefano, Gento, boom, 5 consecutive European Cups. unprecedented dominance. They basically became the biggest club in the world, redefined success.
And there were others pushing boundaries, too. The Hungarian Golden Team of the early 50s, another legendary side from that era.
Absolutely. Different kinds of greatness. But then you get to the Dutch team of 1974.
Ah, total football.
Total Veetbal.
Yeah.
Coached by Rinus Michels, starring the incredible Johan Cruyff. This was, well, it was a genuine tactical revolution.
Everyone sort of knows the term, but what did it actually mean on the field? How did it work?
It was all about fluidity, positional interchange.
Yeah.
The idea that, in theory, any outfield player could play anywhere. It wasn't random, though. It was highly coordinated.
So defenders popping up an attack, forwards dropping deep?
Exactly. Defenders pushing into midfield, Cruyff himself dropping deep to pull the strings. Constant movement, expanding and contracting space, pressing intensely when they lost the ball. It was relentless attacking intent, backed by incredible skill and understanding. It changed how people thought about space and roles on a football pitch.
Sounds incredible to watch and exhausting to play against.
Utterly. And around that same sort of time, maybe a few years earlier, you had another team defining greatness, but perhaps in a different way. The 1970 Brazil team.
The World Cup winners in Mexico, that final against Italy, 4-1. Just pure class.
Legendary. The attacking talent in that side. Pelé, Jairzinho, Rivellino, Tostão. It was just phenomenal. And that win, their third World Cup, wasn't just a sporting achievement.
It had a bigger impact back home.
Yeah. That momentum, that national pride from winning the Jules Rimet Trophy outright, it was actually a factor in setting up the modern Brazilian national championship, the Brasileirão, in 1971, something the military government at the time apparently supported.
Interesting connection. But even Brazil, famous for that samba football, they adapted tactically later on, didn't they?
They did. After some struggles, like going out in the group stage in 66 and not reaching another final until 94, they consciously shifted from about 1990 onwards, became a bit more pragmatic, more European in style, perhaps, less of the beautiful chaos, maybe.
Even the greats have to evolve. Shows how tactics never stand still.
Never.
Let's stay on tactics.
Yeah.
You mentioned total football. What about other key ideas, like positional play?
Right, positional play. It's often associated with coaches like Guardiola, but the roots go deeper. It's about controlling the game through possession, yes, but it's distinct from just keeping the ball for the sake of it, that sort of sterile tiki-taka.
So how does it work? What's the core idea?
It's about occupying space intelligently, logically. Players tend to stick to their zones, maintain the team structure, and the ball moves to them. The aim is to create numerical or positional advantages in certain areas, draw the opponent out, and then quickly exploit the space that opens up. It's very structured.
So players hold their positions, and the ball does the work to find them.
In essence, yes. Maintain the structure, circulate the ball effectively within it, which is a really interesting contrast to some other modern ideas, like, say, Fernando Diniz' style at Fluminense recently.
How so? What's different there?
Well, the description is more about players identifying opportunities and moving towards the ball, creating overloads and combinations more fluidly, less tied to fixed positions. Almost an opposite philosophy on how to use space and player movement.
Fascinating. Shows there's no single right way. What about specific patterns, the third man combination? What's that?
The third man run. It's a classic way to break lines and create space. Simple idea, really. Player A passes to player B. That pass draws a defender towards B.
Okay.
As that defender commits, player B plays a quick pass, often first time to player C, who's made a run into the space that the defender just vacated, or a space created by player B's movement. Player C is the third man, receiving the ball free of pressure. It's a way to use quick interchanges to bypass opponents.
Very clever. Simple, but effective when done well. And roles themselves are evolving. Inverted fullbacks.
Yeah, that's become a really significant tactical feature. Traditionally, your fullbacks provide width, right? Say out wide.
Sure, attack down the line, defend the flanks.
Exactly. But an inverted fullback, during the build-up phase, when their team has the ball, will move inside into central midfield areas.
Right, tucking in. What's the advantage of that?
It creates an extra body in midfield, gives you overload, numerical superiority in the center, makes it harder for the opposition to press effectively, easier to control possession, and circulate the ball.
And Guardiola is known for using that a lot.
He is, definitely. At Bayern, at Man City, you often see his fullbacks stepping into midfield. But interestingly, the idea isn't entirely new. Johan Cruyff was doing similar things at Barcelona years ago.
Really? With Cruyff?
Yeah. He'd sometimes have one fullback push into midfield next to the holding midfielder, who was often Guardiola himself. Funnily enough, creating a kind of 3-4-3 shape in possession. So, like many tactical ideas, it's an evolution, building on earlier concepts.
It always comes back to these foundational figures, doesn't it? Okay, so we've talked structure, money, tactics, but football's heart and soul is surely the fans, the culture around it.
Absolutely vital, and we got some fascinating insights into that too. Take Brazil's organized supporters groups, the torcidas organizadas.
Right, you mentioned their scale. Huge groups.
Massive.
Yeah.
And they weren't just collections of fans. They provided this whole social structure, a way for individuals to connect within the massive stadium crowds. And identity. They mediated between the lone fan and the anonymous mass. Gaviões de Fiel, for Corinthians, having 23,000 members in the 90s. That's basically a small town.
Incredible organization. And how has the digital age changed fandom? The internet must have had a huge impact.
Oh, massive. You can trace it from the early days, like bulletin board systems, mailing lists, niche online communities forming. Then platforms like Orkut became huge in places like Brazil, fostering these really tight-knit fan groups.
And when Orkut faded, they just moved elsewhere.
They did. Many migrated together to platforms like vContacte, consciously trying to preserve those communities. Now, of course, you have platforms like Twitter.
Which are central hubs for fan discussion now.
Totally. And what's interesting is the rise of these online opinion leaders within the fan communities, people who gain real influence, not just by chatting, but by getting retweeted, shaping the conversation. Often these are fan-run accounts, offering a different perspective from traditional media.
So fans are becoming media creators and influencers themselves.
Precisely. It's not just consuming anymore, it's producing. Fans create blogs, vlogs, podcasts, digital radio, offering really deep, passionate analysis, often challenging the mainstream narratives. It adds this whole other layer, this incredible richness to how the sport is discussed and experienced.
So we've journeyed from those early amateur days and the conflicts over professionalism, seen how the game spread globally, how money transformed it.
Explored some truly iconic teams like Real Madrid, the Dutch Masters of '74, Brazil's Legends of 1970, and the tactical revolutions they brought.
And dived into the passion and the evolving structures of fan culture, both organized and online. It's quite a story.
It really is. A story of constant change, constant evolution, driven by so many different forces, money, ideas, passion.
Which leads us to a final thought for you, listening at home, to ponder. When you think about all these different elements, the historical shifts, the financial pressures, the tactical innovations, the power and creativity of the fans, how do all these things come together to shape what we actually mean by greatness in football? And looking ahead, how might these same forces keep rewriting the story of the beautiful game? Thanks for listening to Sportpen.